The morning light drifts through soft curtains. A quiet house, still breathing with sleep. Helen opens her eyes, slow and gentle. The air feels calm, but her shoulders ache with a familiar weight. She sits up, pressing her palms into the blanket. Each movement feels like a whisper, hesitant but alive. Outside, the garden hums with birds and light wind. She watches a small sparrow land on the fence, wings trembling slightly. It moves so freely, without thought, without pain. Helen smiles faintly, then lifts her arm halfway. A sharp twinge reminds her of time, of stillness, of age. She exhales, the sound barely a sigh. Her tea waits in the kitchen, warm and patient. Every morning begins this way, slow, careful, deliberate. She once moved fast, she remembers. Dancing while cooking, waving to neighbors, carrying groceries with ease. Now each gesture is smaller, but more aware. She wonders if comfort can return, if movement can feel natural again. And as the sun rises higher, a quiet promise begins to form. Today, she decides, she will move not fast but with kindness. The morning unfolds in stillness. Helen sits by the window, her cup of tea resting between both hands. Steam curls upward, soft as breath. She watches the golden light slide across the garden. The roses lean into the warmth. The leaves shimmer, trembling in the breeze. Her shoulders feel tight again, like invisible knots beneath the skin. She rolls them slightly, slow and careful. The sound of a small crack echoes near her neck. It doesn't hurt, but it reminds her how still she's been. Every day begins like this, quiet, measured, thoughtful. She takes another sip. Her fingers are steady, but her arms feel heavy. She glances at the old clock on the shelf. Its ticking fills the silence, marking every passing second. Sometimes she thinks the clock moves faster than she does. She smiles at the thought, then sighs. Time has a funny way of speeding up when the body slows down. She used to wake up early to water the plants. She'd reach high for the hanging pots, twist and stretch with ease. Now, even reaching for the watering can feel like a small challenge. She looks down at her hands, noticing the faint tremor of age. They tell a story of decades of work, love, and gentle endurance. Still, something inside her resists this quiet surrender. There's a spark beneath the calm. A small voice that whispers, "You can move again." She leans back against the chair and lets her shoulders drop. For a moment, the ache eases. Her breath deepens, filling her chest slowly. She counts to 4, exhales to 6. It feels good, a tiny relief, like sunlight finding a hidden place. Misty, her cat, hops onto her lap. Helen laughs softly, running her hand through the soft fur. The warmth of the animal spreads through her palms, soothing and real. Misty purrs, eyes half closed, content with the quiet company. Helen stares out the window again. Across the street, a young woman jogs past, moving freely, arms swinging. Helen watches her with a mix of admiration and longing. She doesn't miss the speed, she misses the ease. The feeling of not thinking about pain, of simply being able to move. Her thoughts drift to the flyer she saw last week at the grocery store. It mentioned a class, gentle mobility for older adults. She had paused, reading the small print, then walked away. But now, the memory lingers stronger. Maybe it's not too late, she thinks. Maybe she can still learn how to move again, slower, softer, but still hers. The garden outside sways as if answering her thought. The light grows brighter. The day stretches open, full of quiet promise. Helen finishes her tea, sets the cup aside, and straightens her back. Her shoulders roll again, gently, carefully, almost gracefully. The ache is still there, but something else has begun to rise beneath it. A hint of courage. A quiet readiness to begin. She smiles at the thought, her reflection faint in the glass. Slow is fine, she whispers. Slow is still movement. The afternoon sun drifts through the windows of the small community center. Helen steps inside, her shoes tapping softly against the floor. The room smells faintly of lemon polish and paper flyers. She feels a mix of curiosity and nervous energy in her chest. A few people sit in chairs arranged in a circle. Some talk quietly, others stretch their arms gently. On the far wall, a poster catches her eye, gentle shoulder mobility and comfort. The same one she saw at the grocery store last week. This time, she doesn't walk away. A kind-faced man waves at her from the front of the room. He looks to be around her age, calm and confident. "Welcome," he says with a smile. "I'm David, take any seat you like." Helen nods, returning the smile. She chooses a chair near the window, the sunlight falling across her lap. The group begins to settle. David's voice is low, steady and soothing. "We're not here to chase strength," he begins. "We're here to find comfort." Helen feels the words land softly inside her. Comfort, a simple word, yet something she's been missing. He continues, "You don't need to push your body, just listen to it. Move slowly, breathe deeply." Helen glances around. The others look just like her, older, a little stiff, a little hopeful. There's something beautiful about that shared understanding. David claps his hands once, gently. "Let's start with breath," he says. Everyone sits taller. Inhale through the nose, he guides, and exhale through the mouth. The room fills with a rhythm, breath in, breath out like waves rolling ashore. Helen closes her eyes. Her breath feels shaky at first, but soon it finds a smoother flow. She feels her chest lift, then release like a tide easing back. David speaks again. "Now lift your shoulders slowly, just an inch." Helen obeys, feeling the tightness awaken beneath her skin. "Hold for a moment," he says, "and let them fall." She exhales and the tension drips away, drop by drop. It's not gone, but lighter somehow. The motion feels almost like forgiveness. They repeat it, lift, hold, release. Helen's movements become more fluid with each breath. She can sense her body, remembering something it once knew. A quiet whisper of flexibility, of ease. David's tone remains calm. "Good," he says, "don't rush, there's no finish line here." Helen opens her eyes and catches her reflection in the window. Her posture looks softer, her face calm. It surprises her how peaceful she feels. For the first time in months, her shoulders don't feel like armor. David ends the session with a smile. "Your body is wise," he says. "All it needs is time and kindness." Applause ripples lightly through the room. Helen joins in, her palms warm, her heart lighter. As she leaves, she glances once more at the poster on the wall. She doesn't need to read the words anymore. They already live inside her. Outside, the sky glows with late afternoon gold. Her steps are unhurried, her breath calm. For the first time in a long while, Helen feels she's moving toward something slowly, but surely. The next morning, the world feels softer somehow. Helen wakes early, sunlight brushing against her face. The memory of yesterday's class lingers like a calm song in her mind. She moves to the edge of the bed and stretches her fingers toward the ceiling. The air feels cool, her joints stiff but her spirit steady. She whispers to herself, slow and kind. Her feet touch the floor, grounding her like roots in the earth. She walks to the living room, the quiet hum of the morning all around her. Misty trails behind, tail flicking gently, as if offering encouragement. Helen places a small mat on the floor near the window. It's not fancy, just soft enough to remind her this space is hers. She breathes in deeply, filling her lungs with light. Then she begins. Her first movement is small, lifting her shoulders toward her ears. They rise slowly, her muscles tight but willing. She holds the position for a heartbeat, feeling the tension gather. Then she lets go. The release is quiet but powerful. Her shoulders fall back down, her chest widening slightly. She breathes again. Each breath is like a wave washing through her body. She repeats the motion: lift, hold, release. It becomes a rhythm, almost like prayer. With every exhale, the stiffness melts a little more. Her neck feels lighter. Her arms tingle, the blood moving freely again. Helen smiles softly. It's not perfect, but it feels real, alive. She remembers David's voice: don't rush, let the body lead. So she listens. Her shoulders roll in slow circles now. Tiny creaks echo within her joints, not painful, just honest. Her breath deepens with each circle. The motion feels almost like painting invisible loops in the air. She begins to notice things she hadn't before: the sound of her breath, the steadiness of her heartbeat. She feels present, completely here. Her eyes close for a moment. Memories rise, dancing in her kitchen years ago, reaching for the high shelf, hugging her husband after dinner. She smiles through the warmth in her chest. Her body remembers joy, even if it forgot how to move for a while. When she opens her eyes, the light outside has changed. It feels brighter, clearer. She tilts her head from side to side, slow and mindful. Her shoulders follow the rhythm, stretching gently like wings unfolding. There's a soft pop, then relief, deep and satisfying. She exhales and laughs quietly. Misty watches from the couch, tail flicking with approval. Helen finishes her stretch with her hands resting on her heart. Her breathing is calm, her pulse steady. The ache hasn't vanished, but it no longer feels like a wall. It feels like a doorway, something she can move through. For a long moment, she sits in silence, feeling the life in her body. When she finally stands, her steps are light, her spirit steady. And as she pours her morning tea, she whispers again, slow and kind. It's not just a stretch anymore. It's a way of being. Days turn into weeks, and the mornings find a new rhythm. Helen now wakes before the alarm, her body already aware of what comes next. The mat waits by the window, rolled neatly beside her chair. She likes this small ritual: the quiet, the breath, the light. Every movement feels like a conversation between her and her body. Not words, but understanding. She begins with her breath, always the breath. Inhale through the nose, slow and deep. Exhale through the mouth, soft and complete. The air feels cooler today, carrying the scent of rain. Helen raises her shoulders again, slow, deliberate, gentle. They lift like clouds rising, then drift back down. Her arms follow, circling outward, graceful and steady. She imagines painting circles of air, invisible but full of energy. Each motion smooths the edges of her morning thoughts. Her mind quiets as her body moves. No rush, no goal, no competition. Just rhythm. Just presence. The ache still whispers in the background, but it no longer controls her. It has become a teacher, reminding her to move slower, to listen deeper. Sometimes she catches her reflection in the window. Her shoulders look softer, her posture open. It surprises her how different she feels from the inside out. Misty purrs nearby, curled on the rug, the steady hum matching Helen's breath. She smiles, feeling the connection between all these quiet moments. The sound of the rain begins, soft against the glass. She doesn't stop moving. Her arms rise again, stretching toward the sky as if greeting it. The motion feels alive, smooth, free. Her spine follows, lengthening, her chest expanding. A tiny warmth spreads from her back to her shoulders. It feels like sunlight beneath her skin. She breathes in gratitude without needing to name it. Her body, her breath, her awareness, all working together now. Each repetition feels like rediscovery. Each pause, a reminder that stillness is part of the movement too. She remembers David's words, "There's wisdom in slow motion." Now she understands them in her bones. When the session ends, she doesn't rush to stand. She stays seated, hands resting on her thighs. Her eyes closed, her breath steady. The sound of rain becomes her music, and her heartbeat the rhythm. In the background, a clock ticks, but she doesn't chase it. Time feels wide, generous, forgiving. Helen opens her eyes and looks around her small living room. Everything feels lighter, brighter, somehow clearer. The ache has softened into calm energy, the stiffness into gentle strength. She stands slowly, feeling the weight shift evenly across her feet. Her balance is better now, her confidence stronger. She whispers to herself, "This is working." Then she smiles, not because she's finished, but because she's begun. Outside, the rain eases, and the clouds start to thin. Helen watches the light return, spreading across her hands. The morning feels alive again. And so does she. The community center hums with quiet voices and soft laughter. Helen steps inside, her mat tucked under one arm. The smell of brewed tea floats in from the hallway. Today the group feels different, warmer, more connected. She spots George by the window, waving at her. His smile is wide, his posture straighter than before. "Good morning, Helen," he calls. "You're glowing today." She laughs softly. "Maybe it's all this breathing we've been doing." Clara joins them, her silver hair tied neatly, her energy calm. They talk about the rain, about small aches, about feeling better. It feels easy, natural, like old friends gathering for something sacred. David enters with his usual calm smile. "Ready to move gently?" he asks. The group nods, settling into their places. Helen sits in her usual spot near the corner, sunlight brushing her shoulders. The session begins with a collective breath. The sound of it fills the room, a wave of quiet power. David's voice guides them through each motion. "Lift slowly, breathe. Let the shoulders float, then fall." Helen moves with the group, their rhythm almost synchronized. It feels like a dance, though no one's counting steps. She glances around, watching George lift his arms carefully. May, sitting beside him, grins as she balances her movements. Clara laughs when her shoulder pops softly, saying, "That's progress." The room fills with gentle laughter, shared warmth, human sound. Every stretch feels lighter when done together. Helen feels it, this shared energy, this simple joy. Her shoulders rise and fall with the flow of breath around her. It feels less like exercise and more like belonging. David pauses to remind them, "Remember, there's no perfect here, just awareness." Helen nods, her heart swelling with quiet gratitude. When the class ends, they sit for a moment, letting the stillness settle. David speaks softly, "You've done something kind for your body today." His words linger in the air like warmth. Helen looks around the circle, faces calm, eyes bright. Every person carries their own story of pain, healing, and hope. Yet in this space, they all move as one. George stands and stretches his back. "Tea time?" he asks. Everyone chuckles, gathering their mats. Helen joins them near the small table by the door. They pour tea, steam rising like memory. The conversation drifts between movement, family, and small triumphs. May shares that she can now reach the top shelf again. Clara says her sleep has improved. Helen listens, smiling, her heart full. She realizes the stretches have done more than free her shoulders. They've opened her life again, to others, to laughter, to light. As she walks home, the sun glows low in the sky. Her steps are slow but sure, her breath deep and calm. She carries the warmth of the group with her, like a quiet fire. And as the evening breeze brushes her face, she whispers, "Together we heal." The evening sun spills gold across the kitchen floor. Helen stands by the counter, humming softly as she washes her cup. Her shoulders move easily now, the motion fluid, natural. She pauses for a moment, noticing the absence of strain. It feels simple, ordinary, yet it fills her with quiet joy. She reaches up to place the cup on the high shelf. For a heartbeat, she waits for the familiar ache. But it doesn't come. Her arm lifts smoothly, the movement effortless. A small smile forms on her lips, tender and proud. She lets her arm fall back down, slow and graceful. Misty rubs against her leg, meowing for attention. Helen bends to pick her up, the motion soft and easy. She laughs quietly. Look at us, moving like we used to. The cat purrs, content in her arms. Outside, the garden glows beneath the fading light. Helen steps to the window, watching the world slow down. Leaves rustle, soft as whispers. Somewhere in the distance, children's laughter floats through the air. She breathes in, deep and full, her chest rising with ease. It feels different now, fuller, freer, lighter. Weeks ago, this same motion felt impossible. Now it feels like coming home. She remembers David's voice from class that morning. "You're not just stretching your shoulders," he'd said. "You're teaching your body to trust again." Those words linger still, warm as sunlight. Trust, that's what it was all along. Not pushing, not forcing, just trusting the process of slow healing. Helen moves away from the window and takes her mat from the corner. She unrolls it with practiced ease. The familiar sound, fabric against floor, feels comforting now. She sits down cross-legged, closing her eyes. Her breath deepens, steady and calm. She rolls her shoulders slowly, savoring each curve of motion. Every muscle seems to thank her with quiet strength. It's not just physical anymore. There's peace in it, a kind of gentle knowing. She remembers how it felt at the beginning, the fear, the hesitation. Now that fear feels like a distant echo, softened by time and patience. The pain didn't vanish overnight. It changed shape, grew quieter, turned into understanding. Her body learned, and so did her heart. She whispers softly, "I did it." The room feels still, the air warm around her. Outside, the sky fades into twilight, streaked with pale pink. Helen stays seated, hands resting lightly on her knees. Her shoulders relaxed, her breathing smooth. Misty curls beside her, the rhythm of life unfolding in perfect calm. In the quiet, Helen feels something bloom inside, not pride, not relief. Just peace. She opens her eyes and looks around her cozy home. Every corner glows softly in the evening light. She smiles and whispers again, slow as still movement. And in that moment, she knows she's not only healed. She's free. The night settles gently over the neighborhood. Helen sits by the window, her shoulders light, her breath steady. The garden glows faintly under the moon, soft and silver. Misty sleeps nearby, curled into a perfect circle of peace. Helen lifts her arm, slow and mindful, just to feel the ease. It moves without resistance, smooth and quiet like water. She smiles, her heart full, her spirit calm. She thinks of the first morning, the stiffness, the hesitation. How far she's come, one gentle breath at a time. Healing didn't arrive with force, it came with patience. Each slow stretch, each mindful pause became a small victory. Her body learned to listen, and her heart learned to follow. She whispers softly, "Thank you, not to anyone but to life itself." Outside, the wind shifts, carrying the scent of blooming flowers. Helen closes her eyes, letting the quiet fill her. There's no ache now, only warmth. No rush, only rhythm. And as the night deepens, she breathes one last deep breath. Slow, steady, free.